Welcome to Supplier Spot Spotlight, the podcast where we shine a light on the RV, park, and campground outdoor hospitality industry. Join us as we chat with suppliers, park owners, and staff, uncovering insights, strategies, and stories that will elevate your outdoor experience. Get ready for inspiration and innovation in every episode.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Suppliers Spot Spotlight Podcast. I'm here with Scott Barr with Cairn Consulting Group. Scott, hey, thank you for being on here with me today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. We were talking a little bit off camera or before we started recording here about when I first met you. I heard you talk, I think it was at the Florida show a couple years ago, if I remember right. And then you were sitting down at the bottom of the escalators there on the couch. I think you were looking at your phone. Of course, I came in and interrupted you and was like, hey, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit and get, I love what you had to say. And then we just kind of sat there and chit chat a little bit. And then I know we've talked a little bit through LinkedIn and things like that. So I'm just great to have you. I'm just excited to have you on here with me today. So I want to talk a little bit about your consulting group. But before we get there, I'd like to know, we talked a bit about Supplier Spot before we started recording. I just kind of want to get your thoughts about Supplier Spot and the idea that I came up with. And what do you think about it?
I think this is a great idea. The industry itself needs more consolidation. Things are highly fragmented, across the industry, and there's a lot of blank spots in terms of people's knowledge and understanding of what's available to them. They end up having to rely on what could be unreliable resources to find information. So the opportunity to have a consolidated location where people can access information, I think is a great service for the industry.
Great. Well, that's my whole goal, is just to try to make it a one-stop spot. That's what I came up with. And of course, the word spot is kind of popular out there in our industry right now. So I kind of just tagged on to that. But again, that's what I want to do is just provide a place for not just for park owners and staff members to go to, but also suppliers and associations, and people who are thinking about joining associations. They can go to Supplier Spot, and, they can even go to Supplier Spot. And I have a little section on there called conferences and trade shows. They click on that, and I've been listing all the conferences and trade shows that are coming up to make it just a one centralized area where people can go find those. So, and if any time there's something out there that people know about that's not on there, please let me know and I'll add it on there. So again, I'm just trying to make it a one-stop spot for everybody out there. So I appreciate the nice words. So
I think that's wonderful too, because honestly, I swear probably every other week someone asks me if I'm going to be at a conference, and I'll be like, I don't even know about it.
Yeah. So you see right here, you come right up here to conferences and trade shows, and I've been adding on here. And as the new dates come out for 2025, I've been going in and updating. So, I do this all manually right now. So as I mentioned to you before we started recording, I'm rebuilding the website. I got a developer I'm working with now. So my goal is to make it where people could actually add events to this themselves. That way, if there's an event coming up, they can just go on and add it themselves. And of course, I'll do an approval on it because I want to make sure it's legitimate and not some scam or something. But like I said, as the 2025 dates come up, and the cool thing about it too is I'm making it where it's a link directly to their website. So like if they're looking at the Carvik show, they will actually be able to click on it, and it's going to link straight over to the Carvik website with all the information they need. So I'm doing this for all of them. So this is just really helping promote everybody out there in the industry. And that's my goal with Supplier Spot, is making it a place that does that.
That's awesome.
Cool.
It really is. Like I said, it's hard. It's hard for people to keep track of all this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's can be very confusing. And if you're a supplier and you want to figure out which ones you should go to and when, a lot of times what we'll do is see the summary of a show, like in social media or LinkedIn or somewhere, after it occurred.
Yeah.
And it's like, and people are like, oh, you should have been there. It was great. And it's like,
It's like I didn't even know about it. Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to do. Yeah. Well, great. So I showed a little bit about Supplier Spot. So now let's talk about Cairn Consulting Group. I know you work a lot out there in the industry. I know you do stuff for KOA, if I remember right, and you just do a lot of stuff. So, share a little bit to me about like the history of Cairn Consulting Group, how it got started, or how did it get started? And then let's just talk about it. I'm sure a lot of the RV park owners and staff members out there would love to know more about what you do.
We've been around for I don't know, probably about 25 years now. The whole idea started based on my work actually in hospitality. I worked extensively in hospitality for for a very long time,
Okay.
even prior to the formation of Cairn Consulting.
Yeah.
And I worked for whether it's food services, hotel chains, and extensively I worked with casinos. I worked with every major casino group in the country, whether it's Caesars, Harrah's, Penn National, the whole gamut. In some other smaller groups like the Rivers Casinos groups, and I still actively do some of that work. But that brought me over to working with KOA, and the CEO at the time, Jim Rogers, wanted to bring the idea of the hospitality measurement and research to the outdoors.
Okay.
And so what we've done is that's what we did. That was over 20 years ago, 21 years ago, I think. We started doing that. And so it was the introduction really to this is the model. This is our approach. And that it's evolved and expanded from there. We work with all sectors within outdoor hospitality, from retailers, suppliers, manufacturers, whether it's in the RV industry or outdoor products. We also work in other sectors of work. We still do some other hospitality work. We do some food services. We do advertising, product development, actual tourism work as well. So we do quite a bit within. And I tell people, if you're in market research long enough, you'll touch a lot of different industries,
Yeah.
and sometimes all of them, even financial services. So and our background really has been in data analysis and the data part of that, the research, and having strong standards in terms of research and what we do. And then 10 years ago we started the North American Camping Report. It's what it was called at the time. It's now the Camping and Outdoor Hospitality Report. And from there we've expanded that work. I do some reporting via Brian Searle's company, Modern Campground, as well. We've been doing some monthly reporting there now, and just trying to put a lot of information out to the industry to help people. That was the original purpose of the KOA survey, the North American Camping Report, which was to help the industry and to provide information at the macro level that can help all the different sectors to understand what's happening, what's going on in camping, what are the trends, what people want, what's the demographic profile, all those things. And that kind of brings us to today. I mean, we've expanded it quite a bit. We do a lot of different work within different sectors, different clients, the RV Industry Association, and Go RVing, some of the manufacturers and suppliers. And one of the things we've done, and I know that you're on our website, is that we've been putting together a resource library. That's one of the things that we've started doing to compile information. And one of the things we're actually going to do is do some outreach to organizations. And we're going to do what our goal here is to make this a resource for everyone to go in and look at these reports that are available to everyone, the public. So sorry, I probably got ahead of myself a little bit there.
No, this is great.
We're on the topic, so I'm like,
no, this is what we're talking about. It's like,
yeah.
This is what I think a lot of the park owners want to see, is like these reports they can go and look at.
Yes, and you can see that this is stuff we do. For example, we did this study with RV Share recently, which I'm obviously quite biased. I really like how it turned out.
Yeah.
A lot of times, for example, people will see, and I think it's relevant to anyone who consumes data and information and through reports. It's to take a real critical look at what it is and how it's put together. People like to do a lot of lists.
Mm-hmm.
Best, worst. What are the top 10? What are the top 10 campgrounds? What are the top places to see the night sky?
Yeah.
Which states have the best access to national parks?
Mm-hmm.
So the RV Share report was, let's take the cities in the U.S. There's 52 cities with a population of 1 million or more. Which ones are the best at having, being outdoorsy, basically, like an outdoorsy type city, access all that. on which ones are the worst. And so we ranked them. And we did a very complex process. We used objective and subjective data. We put it all together. We developed this ranking. And it's interesting because we've heard from some of the cities who are, I thought that we'd get some pushback, but it's just the contrary. The cities are like, well, we want to understand this more. So again, that to me is a recent example of something that you can do in this industry, in this category, that helps people in a way that you may not have even anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things I tried to do with that report as well, through RV Share, is to tell the cities. It's like, let me talk to them. I'll tell it's like, use this in your marketing. If you're near the top, definitely put it in your marketing. If you're near the bottom, maybe you just need to promote yourself better. There's a lot in there, and that's just one example of some of the recent stuff. There's a lot of other resources in here, and again, this is something that we're going to build, and I'm hoping that people will reach out to us,
Yeah,
and offer information that we can post here, because we're going to really try to drive a lot of people to this as a resource. Let them ask questions, let them digest the information. And it's not, because I don't want it to be just our stuff. I want
yeah,
it to be stuff that, is from the industry that helps everyone.
yeah. I can see this working for both campers and park owners. The
Yeah.
campers getting information about the parks, and the park owners getting information about the campers. I mean, this is, I think, a valuable resource. So, I mean, if I was a park owner, I would definitely reach out to you and be like, hey, I would love for you to do a report on this that happened over the summer, or something that we're planning on doing next summer, or something like that. I think that's good information, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. I invite people to reach out all the time. I mean, being in research, a lot of times people hesitate. I think, because one of the things I try not to do is use a lot of jargon. I try to make the information very accessible,
Mm-hmm.
to the average person who's, whether it's a park operator or a camper, so that you can, it's easy to understand. We don't, I don't think it does anyone any good to get really into the weeds on
Yeah.
in how we present the information. I do that in the background of everything we do.
Mm-hmm.
We really get into the weeds on it, but
Yeah.
what's facing is not.
Yeah.
I just don't think that does anyone any good.
Yeah. And what I really like too is, I'm not sure who puts the actual report together. Is that your company, or do you work with an outside or a third party on that?
I'd like to take credit for it, but I can't.
Okay. That's
KOA retains a designer.
okay. That's what I thought.
And he's obviously very talented.
Yeah.
He does such a great job.
Yeah.
We give him all the information. We give him the kind of the graphic ideas,
Mhm.
and all the text and the data, and he repackages it like
Yeah.
this, which is amazing. It's an amazing resource.
Yeah.
Like
And
I
I've
said,
read
I'd love to take credit for it, but I can't.
yeah. And I read these reports as soon as you get them out for the year too. So, and what I love about them the most is, I'll be 100% honest, I am a skim reader. So my eyes are like naturally skipping over words to find, the important pieces. Like when I get an email with 2 or 3 paragraphs, I'm like, all right, how can I read this in the shortest amount of time? I love how he puts this together, or if you encourage him to do this, how I'll flip through pages and be like, all right, this is what I want to see. 23% increase. Okay, what does that mean? And then I read, the
Right.
pop outs here. And that's how I think a visual learner works. And that's how I am. I'm a visual learner. Where if I see 98% increase, I want to know, okay, what is that talking about? But down here, I barely see it. So I love how they pop them out like this. So I think it's just a great platform. And I think park owners, and again, I'm not speaking as a park owner myself, and hopefully I'm not speaking on behalf of them, but I know they're busy too. And a lot of them don't want to necessarily read. So I love the graphs that they do in these reports. And it just makes everything so understandable. And I think that's so important nowadays, especially when it comes to data, because I'm a data digger myself. And when I start digging into the weeds like you do, it doesn't make sense to most people until I throw it into something like this. So I love how
The visuals are an important part of the story.
Yeah.
Way back when I was in academics, it was very sparing.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you put too many visuals in there, people would think you're covering something up.
Yeah.
But since that time, I've learned that an effective visual is the best thing you can possibly
exactly
do with people.
I agree. And I love all the pictures here too, because it's representing our outdoor industry. So it's great stuff. So I just think you guys do great work. And like I said, I've been following you ever since I heard about you, a little over 2 years ago. So I love seeing your posts on LinkedIn and following those along. So it's funny too how I saw your post yesterday on LinkedIn. I was like, I'm going to message him and see if he wants to be on be a
Hmm.
spotlight. And it was just a shot in the dark. So I know how busy you are, and I always get a little nervous asking people if they want to be on the spotlight because I know they're like, oh, I'm so busy, but I don't want to tell them no. And like within 10 minutes, you already had a spot booked. Oh, sweet. I got Scott coming on tomorrow. This is great. So I love the
Well,
fact.
in my opinion, when we're really busy, it really is a good time to take a step back.
Mm,
I think it's really important for us to do that. If you're too immersed in it, I mean, that's where you get burned out.
yeah.
That's why I enjoy this type of interaction quite a bit, to be able to talk about some of the stuff that we do. It's very motivating. And again, when you get so immersed in it,
Yeah.
it can be overwhelming. So we have to take a step back once in a while, and that's why I was like, oh, this is a great opportunity for me to take a step back and learn more about what you're doing and allowing people to learn more about what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. I'm so glad you said that too, because I was literally just on a live podcast with, I'm not sure if you know who Michelle Oliver is. Um,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I just did her live podcast right before you and I got on, and it's the same concept to me. As I've been so swamped, busy doing stuff that when I got these scheduled podcasts, I'm kind of like, "Ah, God, I got so much to do. But then when I get into them, I'm like, oh, this is so relaxing now for what I'm used to doing all the time. So it's
Yeah.
great, and I'm a social butterfly, so I like talking and getting to know people and learning about what they're doing. So, and I love the fact that you said that you were so busy that this is a good time for you to just say, you know what, I want to stop and talk a little bit about what's going on and talk to Bobby about some things, because I was literally talking to another person earlier today through Messenger saying, hey, when can I get you on as a spotlight? And she's like, oh, I'm just very, very busy. I'm working 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. I was like, yeah, I completely understand. I said, it's only about 30 minutes out of your day. Well, that's just not even 30 minutes I can spare. And I completely respect that, because I know how some people can be really overwhelmed and the last thing they want to do is jump on and do this. But I like how you said that, because that made me feel a little bit better to say, yeah, there's just a time that you have to just say, you know what, I am going to stop and take a few minutes and talk about what I'm doing instead of just being engulfed in what I'm doing. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. I think it's important
Yeah.
everyone. Take a step back once in a while.
Yeah.
You're and honestly, in my experience is that when you take a step back and then you come back to stuff, the quality of your work increases,
I
your
agree.
focus is better, and you end up being more productive. So
I agree
um,
too.
I think it's
Yeah.
I think that's super important. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm assuming by your background, you probably work from home, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So, and I do too. So a lot of times, I don't know if you have anybody there else working with you, but a lot of times it's just me, and usually I have my dog underneath the desk, but he's not here right now because he'll bark at something and mess up my podcast. But a lot of times it's just nice to have this interaction, because
Absolutely.
I can put on the TV, but then it's just background noise is distracting me. So it's nice to have these types of interactions. And I've been trying to make myself get up out of this chair and go walk, down around the cul-de-sac or something for a minute or two. And so I just think it's great to have these types of conversations.
Absolutely, I agree.
Cool.
And so just one final thing that we've talked a little bit about what we do. I just like to add that we in our experiences, what we one of the things we do, and we've mentioned this before, is we try to listen. I
Mhm.
mean, being in research it's probably one of the most important things you can do is listen and ask questions, then listen some more.
Exactly.
Um, I ask people all the time wherever I'm at. It's like, do you go camping? How do you camp? All these things, and it it I can't tell you how many times I've used these conversations to incorporate it into our work. And one of the things that's happened as a result of that is we've actually expanded our services to include feasibility studies. We do and business planning for campgrounds, glampgrounds, whether it's new builds, expansions. We've used data science to develop a value analysis module as well, the value of services and amenities. People ask a lot. And this came from inquiries. People ask, one, do we do feasibility studies? We didn't before, but we decided that we are now offering that. Because we've spent so much time immersed in all this information that it's like, well, let's use it. Let's use
Yeah.
it for this kind of purpose to help people in their planning. Again, the value analysis and acquisition analysis too. Acquisition of whether it's customers, guests, what other parks, whatever. We do. Those are the things, and we have a good team of analysts who support it, who support me, because I can't do all this by myself.
Yeah.
And we are, as they say, we're data geeks. We love the data.
Mhm.
People ask me all the time. It's like, how do you even start with this? And it's just like, well, you just got to look at it,
Yeah.
and then you just got to start, and you just start going down these rabbit holes, and you find things. And this has been the result of that. And we love working in the industry. We love working, and to me, one of the most rewarding things to hear is, one, that people actually read our work,
Mhm.
but more importantly, that they use it.
Yeah.
Um, I've gone into campgrounds before, and people have had a hard copy. We don't do the hard copies anymore, and we do multiple versions now.
Yeah.
But of the camping report, and they say I make my staff read this whole thing
Yeah.
at the start of the season, and it's so it's out there. People are using the work as a researcher. It's very, very rewarding to have
Yeah.
people actually use the work.
Yeah, and I have several small businesses that I've owned over the last 20 some years. And so I've always been into marketing and branding. And I don't know where I heard this saying. I know I saw it or heard it somewhere, so I can't take the credit for it. But marketing, and just kind of like what you're doing with this consulting stuff, is you can't spell marketing without DATA. And a lot of times people are like, what? It's like, you got to have this data in order for anything to work, in my opinion. So, I always got to throw my opinion out there because I want people thinking I'm just like being real sure of everybody else and thinking what everybody else is saying. But, just like marketing and consulting work. So I love the fact you have all this data to back up everything. So people say, hey, this is what's working out there. The numbers don't lie. So I think it's great what you guys are doing.
It is. It's important for people to take things in terms of whether they're planning, whatever they're doing, their marketing, their strategic plans,
Mhm.
whatever they do, and consider some of the information that's available. There's a lot of information that's available, and there's a lot of information that's easily developed
Yeah.
too. And it's like, don't use anecdote.
Yeah.
Don't. I have a T-shirt. I have geeky T-shirts that um, one is called "Correlation is Not Causation." It's
Yeah.
one of my favorites when people look at me really weird, and
Yeah.
kids keep their distance. But the other one is, "You have opinions, I have data."
Yep.
And it's because it's true. You need that. It's
Yep.
important. It sounds, it's obviously geeky
Yeah. But
to
it's,
do that, but I mostly wear it when I mow the lawn. So
yeah. Yeah. But it's a good conversation starter too. So
it is. It really is.
it's going. Yeah.
But yeah, it's that, because for a lot of whether you're a park owner, operator, or whatever sector you're in any business, it's like, let's make informed decisions, and that's what we do. We help people do that.
Yeah.
It's our job. Our job is to help people along the way, and to offer information, and to help be that guide. That's where the name of the company comes from. I was
Great.
out hiking in Arizona, and I noticed the trail. It's really rocky in some places. Like, you don't know where the trail is. Arizona, Utah, some of those places, and the cairns are the only thing that where you're at, that you're still on track.
Yeah.
And so that's where the name came from. It actually had a reason for picking that.
Well, there you go. That's a good. Yeah, I love that. Didn't even think about that. So that's great too. You got right on your homepage here, hiking. So yeah, I'm looking at it. It's not on the screen anymore, but I'm looking at it. So, well, great, Scott. I mean, is there anything else you want to go over? Everything. I mean, you gave a lot of good information. I love the new stuff you guys are coming out with. How can people get a hold of you? I think you're going to be at the glamping show this year, right?
Yes, I'll be doing a presentation again
Okay.
on Tuesday morning. The kickoff presentation again.
Cool.
The follow up to what I did last year. We'll also have a booth there.
Great.
Booth 120. I love talking to people, so please stop by. I'll probably be at several of the other larger conferences. I'll be going to the Canadian conference this year. I'll probably be at the KOA convention, and I'll probably go to the Ojai convention as well.
Great.
And maybe some state level ones. Once in a while, I get calls and people want me to show up. I'm also. It looks like I'm probably going to be in at the Overlanding show in Flagstaff, but that's not till next
cool.
May.
Yeah.
So looks like we're gonna actually do some hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll do some work with them and dive into overlanding a little bit more. So
Great.
looking
Yeah, well, I'll
forward to
definitely
that.
see you at the shows coming up. A lot of ones you mentioned, I'll be at as well. So, I'm looking forward to getting out there and seeing you in person again and chit chatting. And so, but how could people get a hold of you? Email address, just
Oh,
website, or
um, you can either go to the website, which is cairnconsultinggroup.com, or just send me a note at scott@cairnconsultinggroup.com.
great.
Um,
And I
it's
know for
it's
those that
long.
are on
I
LinkedIn,
know. I couldn't get the best URL,
yeah.
but
Oh no,
you take what you can get. But yeah, and those are the best ways to get hold of me. If just do a Google search on Cairn Consulting Group, and the
cool.
website will come up, and you'll have our contact info.
Yeah, that's what I did to pull up your website real quick. So it worked out great. And I know you and I talked through Messenger on LinkedIn. So if anybody's out there on LinkedIn, you could look up Scott Barr on LinkedIn, message him or follow, connect with him, whatever you'd like to do. So, okay,
Please
Scott,
do.
thanks again for being on here. I really do appreciate it. I'm again looking forward to seeing you at these conferences. So again, everybody, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, reach out to Scott anytime. Once again, I'm Bobby with Supplier Spot. This is our Supplier Spot Spotlight podcast. So Scott, thank you again for being on.
Thank you very much for having me on. It was great talking to you.
Thanks. You too. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Supplier Spot Spotlight. Keep shining bright in the RV, park, and campground outdoor hospitality industry. Stay tuned for more illuminating conversations with industry experts. Until next time, enjoy the great outdoors.